he won't be able to have the family under Jim Crow laws. And second of all, how can you speak for black families if you're not married to a black woman and you're not taking care of a black woman? You know what I'm trying to say here is that you can't have it both ways. You can't have it both ways, man. So either he misspoke, whatever he did, or he made a mistake. But Jim Crow was not good for black families or even for white families, because America could not continue to live as it was under a two-tier system as international human rights and things of that nature. So let's go back to the story if I could find it. Such an idiot here. I messed it up, didn't I? Remove. All right. Is this it? Yeah.
Women, at least.
Oh gosh.
Black female.
Shut up.
Massacre.
I can't find it.
We were in Nusayrat camp. Special.
He goes at the same time.
Not just conservative, because black people always have been conservative minded, but more black people voted conservatively. And then HEW, Lyndon Johnson, and then you go down that road, and now we are where we are. What's happened in America the last 10 years, and I say it because it's my contemporaries, it's Wesley's contemporaries, you're starting to see more black people be married in homes, raising kids. It's when you home with your wife raising your kids, and then you look at the world, you're saying, now wait a minute, time out. This does not look right. How can I get something to my kids? It goes back to the conversation of generational wealth. Not just having a job, generational wealth. I'm looking at my kids, how can my kids be on my shoulders when they take off in life? That's what's happening.
Abby Phillip confronted Byron Donalds on CNN about his comments comparing Democratic actions to Jim Crow laws. She expressed that such comparisons trivialize the brutal historical reality of Jim Crow and suggested that his remarks were irresponsible and misleading. Phillip aimed to highlight the severity of the Jim Crow era and why it's important not to draw inappropriate parallels to current political disagreements. Here's what he had to say.
I want to just focus on really the substance of what you were saying or trying to say in that clip. What did you mean by black families were more together during Jim Crow?
Frankly, what that is about the empirical fact that before the Great Society, before Lyndon Johnson's policies, there was more black families united. The marriage rate in black America was significantly higher before the Great Society.
It has nothing to do with the Great Society. You have crack, you have heroin in the 70s, you have the generational gap of the 60s where people just high and having free sex all over the place. Even the problem is he's not thinking, even white families got destroyed after the birth pill, after the 70s, with the feminist movement where women became men and men became women, everything just fucking upside down. So he's just blaming the shit on something else. The Great Society program was to help uplift poor white and black families. Nothing less, nothing more.
The period of time that coincides with that, obviously, is Jim Crow era. And then after the Great Society, the marriage rate in the black community plummeted significantly. The Great Society is a part of that reason, not completely, but it's definitely a part of that. And what you're seeing right now in America is a reformation of black families in America. That's a good thing, not only for the black community and for black families, but it's also a good thing for the country.
So what was the point of tying together the black family and Jim Crow specifically? I mean, Jim Crow, as you know, was...
he wants to be the vice president for Trump. So he was virtual singular. That's what he was doing. He was trying to get both sides.
Period of racial segregation, of racial terror. Why would you make that connection?
All I was doing was referring to the time periods when you talk about the historical timelines in America and coinciding with black families and what the marriage rate in black families are. The overarching point is obviously talking about what polling shows today, that about 25% of the black vote, depending on what poll you're looking at, is leaning towards supporting Republicans and supporting President Trump. The corollary to that is that when you're in a family unit, husband and wife, living together, working together, thriving together, you're raising your kids, your thought process is now talking about building generational wealth. What am I leaving to my children? What kind of communities do I want my children to come up in? What are the educational opportunities? What's going on with the economy? How does, and then to a broader level, how does foreign policy and all these other public policy issues flow into that? And so when you compare the terrible agenda of Joe Biden and what that's done to families in America, coinciding with the fact that you are seeing a reformation of black families in America today, which is an absolutely wonderful thing and needs to continue.
I'm going to say something that I have said a long time ago, maybe 2-3 years ago when I started talking on YouTube. Black Americans are probably more conservative than any other group in the United States. If you go on Sunday and drive around like black American neighborhoods, the churches are full. They are double parked, triple parked. Sometimes the whole street is closed. The churches. There's a village here in Long Island called Hempstead Village. There are probably more churches than there are houses. It's a black village. So what I'm trying to say is black Americans are conservative. Only the Republican Party doesn't know how to attract them. Republican parties don't know how to, they got to work their game to get him involved and leave the Democratic plantation.
My view is it also coincides with a more conservative leaning and a more conservative mindset politically in those families.
One thing I really want to just get you to address is there were a lot of people who heard what you had to say, and a lot of them are offended by the idea that you would repeat Jim Crow 3 times in your comments as if to suggest that that was a time period because that black families were, in your words, together, because, in your words, black people were not just more conservative, they voted more conservatively. That's a good thing. I mean, it sounds like nostalgia. Do you regret using that time frame as a reference?
Nobody ever made nostalgia. That was never the point. It wasn't even about that. So where now I'm going to get my backup is, I didn't say that. I didn't even insinuate that. That is where the media and yes, Hakeem Jeffries and a lot of other people are taking
What
it.
exactly didn't you insinuate?
No, back up.
I'm just trying to understand what you're saying. What didn't you insinuate?
The premise of your question, I did not insinuate. That is what people are trying to weave into what I said. What I said is crystal clear. It's on my social media. Go to @ByronDonalds on X. You can see the full clip. Abby, I appreciate you playing the full clip. What you are dealing with right now is a political environment where now anything I might say or any major surrogate might say is going to be twisted into the lens of race. That was never the point, not the idea whatsoever.
Just to clarify my questioning of you,
Sure.
I understand that this idea that you said it was better, you didn't use the words better. But when you talk about that time period, you're suggesting that because the black family was together, they were better off than they are now.
See, this is the problem, Abby.
So are you saying that that's not the case? That the black family was not better off when they were, in your words, together?
Abby, let me put it to you like this.
In the Jim Crow era.
Let's agree.
He was speaking to Al Sharpton, and he disrespected, oh, you better get it through your skull. He was fucking he got thuggish in the interview like a fucking idiot that he is. Just say I misspoke. Maybe it came out wrong. I'm sorry. I don't want my community to think that I said that. And it's all gravy after that. And you can avoid all this fucking twisting and twirling because you're trying to serve 2 masters. You want to appease your white following. Excuse me, white people. I love you all. But that's why he invoked Jim Crow. He wants to virtual single that shit and be a good boy. And second of all, he made a mistake. Because let's say if Donald Trump chooses you as vice president, you're going to add the black community to the vote. That's what he wants you for. He don't want you to bring more white people. He already got them. All you have to do is get him the black voters. That's what the game is all about.
On something. I am, obviously one of the better communicators in the Republican Party. I know how to put words together. I do it very, very often. So I'm not going to say something that I do not agree with. What America is seeing right now, especially Black America, is the gaslighting that unfortunately does happen in politics,
That's
where
what
you
you're doing
take
right
my
now.
comments and you want to weave your own political viewpoint into what I said. What I said is very
Congressman,
clear.
I asked you to
hold
explain
on now.
because I wanted
Go
to.
ahead.
What
Go
I want to
ahead.
undo is understand what you're saying here. Because if you're making a comparison, you're saying the Black family was together then, they're not together now, and you're using that to try to say that things are bad now. Well, first of all, let me just to set the table here. By pretty much every available measure, Black families, Black individuals in this country are better off today than they were during Jim Crow. Would you agree with that?
Abby, of course I would. I'm not making that point, and this is the problem. What the Democrats
There are more Black millionaires than ever in history. Rappers are fucking millionaire. Rappers fucking rapping about guns and violence are multimillionaire, man. Sport players. Blacks are doing good in America. God bless America. They're doing good right now. I mean, I think you must understand them. I mean, if you are a Republican politician, happen to be Black, that's good.